For the record, my perception of loyalty and disloyalty is just really simple. Loyalty has a dual component as well. But in this video, um, see, loyalty is the act of doing anything and everything that pleases the person who you're with, even when you're not in their presence. Disloyalty is doing anything that you know the person who you are with will not approve of. That is what disloyalty really means. It doesn't always have to be that you're having sex with someone or kissing someone. Anything that you know that the person who you're with would not be pleased with, would not agree with, that is called being disloyal. I had a friend who just called me. I just got off the phone with her. Her name is Sharon. She's the Black and Filipino woman that I spoke of in a previous video, who was over to my friend Keith and his wife's home. She just not too long looked at my last two videos, and she asked me a very fair question. She said, in spite of you pointing out a whole lot of things in terms of what destroyed your relationship with your son's mother, can you think of anything that you yourself did that made matters worse? And so I gave it some thought, and I told her no, because that would seem to be like a more narcissist answer to assert that out of 8.5 years in being in a relationship, you never did anything within that relationship to cause that relationship to wobble or even fail. Well, that is a fact, because when a man has his mind made up to where he wants to grow a family with a particular person, by his mind being made up, everything he does is based upon that desire of wanting to build a family with this particular person. Now, there was a time, I'm going to talk about this. There was a time I was currently working at Caesar's Palace. I was working a graveyard job as a utility porter. And there was a young lady who worked there. Her name was Raydale Jackson. She was a Creole woman. I know I mentioned Creole a lot, but it's something about Creole people, we're drawn to one another. So Raydale, she had became a new employee, and she was what they used to call a change person. Now, this was back in, I believe it was, I would say 1989. Yeah, it would have to be 1989. Because my oldest son was 6 months old. Now, I was walking my station at Caesar's Palace, and Ray Dale was a change person. Now, back in the day, they had people who would walk around with these almost looked like aprons on, and they had little containers of change, rolled up quarters, nickels, and things like that. And they would service to customers who were playing at the slot machines. It's like if you wanted $20 worth of quarters, you would summon her to you, and you would give her a $20 bill, and you would tell her, I need $20 worth of quarters, and she would give you a couple of rolls of quarters. So that's the way they used to do it. They don't do it like that out here anymore. You can actually service yourself by just sliding in a $20 bill in these areas of the machine, and it would give you 20 credits so where you can play slot machines, 20 credits or however much you wanted to play. And so as myself and my co-worker who I would work with every night, named Kevin Carr, shout out to you, Kevin Carr, we were walking to this area in Caesar's Palace where a whole lot of live bands used to play, like the Imperials, who I actually grew up with in Chicago. Another group called the Impressions, who I grew up with in Chicago. And I went to school with a guy named Daniel Cash, and he was a relative of the Impressions. And so me and Daniel Cash, we went to school together from first grade all the way to sixth grade. And so they had me and Kevin working at a bar in a live band area called the La Piazza Bar. And to get to the La Piazza Bar, you had to walk all the way over to the other side of the casino, and you had to walk through Ray Dale's area, and then you would hit the 21 tables and the crap tables, and then across from there was a statue of Joe Louis standing like this. And on the other side of the Joe Louis statue, there was the La Piazza Bar. I also met Sugar Ray Leonard there for the first time. But as I was walking to our station, as we were walking to our station, Kevin Carr's wife, Pam, was also a change person. And so as me and Kevin was walking to our station, Kevin stopped and he was talking to his wife. And while he was talking to his wife, I was standing there with him, And so Ray Dale had seen me. And as me and Kevin walked to our station, she came up to Pam and she said, "Who is that?" And Pam said, "That's my husband's friend, David." And, and so Ray Dale told her that I want to meet him. And so Pam had told Ray Dale that, well, he's got a girlfriend, and Pam knew Tammy. Pam knew her. And so as we worked that night, I left La Piazza to go to the restroom because our personal restroom over in the La Piazza was getting cleaned by a couple of our coworkers. And so I had to leave my station and walk halfway across the casino to use one of our public restrooms. So as I was walking, Raydell made her presence known. And she walked up to me. She said, "What's your name?" I said, "My name's David." And she said, "How long you been working here?" She was just striking up a conversation with me. And so I introduced myself, and we introduced ourselves. And from that introduction, for the next, I would say almost 2 weeks, she used to eat lunch with me. And so things were getting back to me, like, she had liked me and everything. And Raydell was a very, very beautiful, gorgeous woman. She was, um, she reminded me of the singer Monica a lot. She was built up like Monica. She was beautiful. She was slim. And she was just drop dead gorgeous. And so Raydell told me that she wanted to go out. And I told her, I'm like, well, I'm with someone. I said, I've got a 6-month-old son and everything. And so she said, yeah, I heard. She said, but I still want to go out with you. She said, can't we at least go out? And I became, I would say, disloyal. And I told her that I'll get back with you instead of giving her a dead no. So me not wanting, I could say that I didn't want to hurt her feelings or disappoint her or anything. That was half of it. But the other half was like, this could be nice. I'm just being honest. And so that was my, what we call out here Friday. So the next day I had the next 2 days off. And so when I got back to work, Raydell wasn't there because we had separate off days, except when I would get back to work, she would have one night off, and then on my, what is called Tuesday, would be her Monday coming in, which was the first day of her 5 days. And so when I was going to my station again, I didn't see her, but as me and Kevin started doing our work at the the La Piazza bar, me and Kevin was talking, and all of a sudden I saw Kevin's attention. He said, "Hey, ain't that Raydell?" And I turned and I looked, and she was standing outside the La Piazza bar, staring up at me. And this was from a distance. And so I told him, I said, yeah, that kind of looks like her. And so we went back to work. And the next thing I know, I'm hearing some clack, 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 because she wore these kind of loud shoes. She wasn't in heels or anything like that, but she wore some shoes with her uniform that made a lot of noise, because the area where we were working, they had some stone type floors and everything. And so she came right up to me right in front of Kevin, and she said, okay, well, did you give it some more thought? And I told her, I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to play dumb, like we used to say in Chicago. And she said about us going out. And I told her, I like, Raydell, I can't do that, So it's like, I've got a 6-month-old son, And so she said, okay then. And she just walked away. She had a little attitude. And so that night when we were all at break, it was me, Kevin, another guy who we knew named Wendell, and this other guy named Ed. So I'm sitting with them. She comes in, she gets her food, and she sits right across from me at the table. And she's looking at me and she's eating. And so as we continued to talk, she didn't say a word. She was just looking over at me eating. And so She gets up, she dumps her tray in the trash, and then she slams her tray up against where they stack the trays, and she makes a whole lot of noise. And so that made Ed and Wendell and them look at me like, what's going on between you and her? And I'm like, ain't nothing going on between me and her. That's probably what she's angry at. And then Ed, who didn't live too far from us, was just a couple of blocks over. And he said, well, Dave, you can't be up here messing around with these women because, you got a 6-month-old and blah, blah, blah. I said, Ed, I'm not messing around with that girl. I'm not messing around with her. And so she had stopped speaking to me for like about 3 nights. And so I felt like cool. But after that, she had, when I was on my way to La Piazza bar, I had stopped and I was talking to Kevin's wife, Pam, because Kevin was off that night. And so as I was walking, Pam had summoned me. And so I was over there talking to Pam. I was asking her, what's up with Kevin and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, Raydell comes up behind me and she grabs me from behind. And I could feel her lay her head on the back, of my back. And I'm like looking around. And Pam looked at me. She said, what's going on with you with Raydell? And I'm like, oh, this is who this is, So I turned her around and I'm like, Raydell, you can't be doing that. You're going to get me in trouble. I said, because my girl knows Pam, because at one time Kevin's wife, Pam, and me and Tammy had went on a picnic because we were barbecuing. And so it had gotten kind of serious with Raydell. And so I recall one night I told her, I'm going to need to talk to you. And so her and I came to work kind of early. And we were in the Caesar's Palace parking lot talking. And she got, I was trying to tell her that I can't do it and, and those things, I was just trying to explain to her my situation, and I didn't want to risk my situation, and all of a sudden she attacked me in the parking lot, and it got way out of control. And so the security guards came and they said, what's going on? And we had just explained to them, we just had a little disagreement, but it's over. And so after that, it was, she started seeing this guy who worked in the stewarding department. I think his name was Leonard. And I remember Leonard coming up, giving her a flower. And I felt like it was all planned because it was done right in front of me. And so he gave her a flower, and she came up and she kissed him and everything like that. And everybody was looking over at me, like Wendell and Ed. And I'm like, why are y'all looking at me like that? I'm not doing anything with her. And so her and Leonard started seeing each other. And so Leonard was pulled me to the side. He said, hey, man, what's going on between you and Raydell? Did anything happen between you and Raydell? And I told him no. And so he said, well, she sure talks about you a whole lot, bro. And she act like she can't stand you and blah, blah, blah. I had explained the situation to him. And so, like a dude, she got some good, stuff. And I did all that I could. I tried my hardest to put a baby in her. And I'm like, that's between you and her, bro. That's between you and her. I already have a kid. You know, he's 6 months old, and I'm not gonna throw my family away. I'm not gonna throw my family away. You know. And so not too long after that, um, she had moved to LA, and she ended up being a what they call a I'm not certain if this is the right title, but it's a vixen model, a woman who stars in a whole lot of rap videos. I only saw her in one, and I can't even recall the title to it because I wasn't into a lot of hip hop. The only type of hip hop that I was in, I used to listen to Public Enemy. You know, Pac wasn't really out at that time. So the main group that I used to listen to back in the day was Public Enemy, and I listened to some Kool Moe Dee. You know, those guys who are considered old school hip hop. But I will say that Ray Dale was very tempting, but when you say to a woman, I'll give it some thought, that's called being disloyal. Now, I brought all of that up because what we're going to have to understand is that being disloyal doesn't always imply you having a lot of physical contact with someone or, you know, sleeping with someone. You know, when you compromise your loyalty to the person that you're with by telling someone, I'll give it some thought, that's called being disloyal. When you allow this person in whom you know is interested in you to sit and eat with you at work, that doesn't do anything but encourage their aggression toward you. And it encourages their aggression towards you because you are also encouraging them to think that sooner or later something will transpire between you and that person. But when you say a definite no and your body language demonstrates that, that's different. But saying that I will give it some thought and allowing these people to sit with you, allowing this person to sit with you and eat with you, and you're sitting there talking, you know, you're getting to know one another, you know, that's called being disloyal, you know, because those things could lead to things that could possibly destroy your union, because all of those things are leading up to sex. Let's just be honest. All of those things are leading up. Now, had I gave in to her and it still didn't work out, she would have been leaving for LA anyway. And then I would have had to go home and look at my woman and look at my 6-month-old beautiful son, and things would have been different because my mind would have been contaminated with what I did, which would be considered disloyalty. See, committing things against your relationship or marriage in which goes against in which goes in opposition of what a relationship and a marriage is supposed to be based upon. What you do, you violate that union. Even if you never tell that person, that violates your peace of mind. That violates your peace of mind. And so there was a time where Tammy went through my phone because I used to talk to Raydell on the phone, you know, and so I was being disloyal. And so I would talk to her on the phone, and at one time Tammy had went through my phone and she saw Raydell's number. And so I noticed that she started spending a lot of time with her mother. And so one day she had called me while I was at home, while she was at her mother's house, and she brought up finding Raydell's number. And so that upset me, and it made me go over there. And I was telling her while we were outside talking, we were sitting on the stairs, and I was telling her, you know, nothing happened between me and her. We were just, I messed up. You know, I was just talking to her over the phone, and I told her about everything. And she said that, well, how would you like it if I start talking to people? When, you know, she was doing that anyway. She was sleeping around. But this Raydell thing didn't do anything but give her more encouragement to do what she was already doing anyway. Her mother had even asked me, so who was this other woman that you are seeing? And I told her what the situation was, and I said, it's nothing there. You know, but her mother did tell me, well, if it is something there, she said, I understand why. And so there was a whole lot of things going on. But I have to admit that's the only thing that I did to complicate the situation, even though nothing happened. But it did encourage her to do more so than what she was already doing in the first place. So one way or the other, due to the fact that she was doing what she was doing, and she didn't respect the fact that we had a 6-month-old son, she was just going to be out doing what she does anyway. So when we were out there talking, I was just telling her that I don't feel as though I can talk to you about anything because it's like you're always angry. You're angry all the time. And so with her, I was telling her about Raydell. I feel as though I'm able to talk to her about anything, you know. And I said I'm able to talk to her about things that I'm not able to talk to you about. And so that puts men like myself in situations, and it also puts women in the same situation. But I'm not talking about you women. I'm talking about us men who are in relationships with complicated women who are very complicated, and women who are going to destroy the union anyway, because even during those times where they're getting on your case about you possibly seeing some woman, they're still doing what they're doing. And actually they are really not disappointed or hurt of finding other women's number or another woman's number in your phone. That makes them feel better about what they're doing anyway. That gives them more fuel and more reasoning to continue what they're doing anyway until the day comes when you actually find them with someone and you decide to just end it and walk away. So relationships are complicated, and I would never say that they're not, because they are. And at the age of 60 going on 61, I'm not really pursuing any relationships, and I'm not even thinking about them anymore. I'm to the point right now where all I care about is writing, stocks and trade, and getting myself in a position to where when I walk away from this current job as an armed security guard, I will be in the position to where I can get on a plane and go wherever I want to go at any given time. So the whole thing with jobs, relationships, I will liberate myself from that area of my living journey, because it haven't really served me. It really haven't served me other than the birth of my 2 sons. Really haven't done anything. And so most people will say, well, he's only given up on relationships because of his age. It has nothing to do with my age. You know, in January, I'll be 61. I consider myself 61 anyway, because I count the 9 months, because to my own personal clarity, life begins at the moment of conception, you know. And so your physical birth is the day you were physically brought into the world, which my physical birthday was January the 20th, 1964 at 8:03 in the morning. I've done pretty much everything that a man can do in terms of a woman in regards to relationships. I've had relationships with women with no children. I've had relationships with women with children. I've lived with women, I've had women live with me. I've had 2 sons. I mean, I've done absolutely everything that a man can do with a woman, opposite of getting married, because I've never gotten married, because what's the point? You know, because to me, relationships are just a trial run of what a marriage could be if you signed upon the dotted line and did all the other nonsense. So to myself personally, due to the fact that I'm not successful in relationships, and considering the direction that the world is going in when it comes to women and relationships and marriages, which are consistently failing today, what's the point? What's the point? I would rather live my latter years doing exactly what I love to do, and that's writing and traveling and involving myself in the stock market at a time to where it is very beneficial to get into stocks and trades, because the world is at a state right now to where it is evolving into another phase of living. And I see that and I understand that. And through stocks and trades, I'll be able to capitalize off of that, because I'm brilliant in the area of stocks and trades. And I've gotten to the point right now to where even dating women, I find myself kind of irritated when I find a woman who is interested in moving forward with me from the dating scene into a relationship status. It irritates me, because after both of my son's mother, and especially after what I went through in Georgia with Salam Yilma, actually when I got on the plane in Atlanta that particular evening, and I came back to Las Vegas, when I got off that plane in Las Vegas, I was done. I was absolutely done, because when you give up everything for the sake of love and marriage and everything, and after you've had children by women and all those other states that I was mentioning of experiencing women, and then once you give up everything and you leave, and that blows up in your face because and you didn't do anything wrong. You know, you had good intentions and everything. So after you suffer that, and then you come back home, it just seems like no, it doesn't seem like you have a whole new perspective on relationships, and that perspective for me was an absolute no. I don't have any time for it now. I don't have anything in me for that anymore in terms of relationships and marriage. And like I say, I go on dates. You know, there's these three women out here who I date: Queenie, Connie, and Jasmine. But those three are just only for my company and companionship, and for be honest with you, it's just sex. You know, just companionship. And considering all of the plans that I have for myself in the coming uh, future, after I retire, that's all it's ever going to be. Because other than that, I'm just going to get back to traveling. I'm trying to accumulate enough wealth to the degree to where if I want to get up one morning and if I want to go to the UK and visit all of the friends that I have in London, England, I can just do it, you know, as long as my sons know where I'm at. And of course, hey, Deshaun or Dylan, you know, you want to go to England with me for a couple of months and we'll just come back. And if they want to go, let's go. And if they don't want to go, I'll let them know where I'm going to be at. I'm going to be over here. And as soon as I get there, I'm going to let you know where I'm at, my address, and everything. And there's a woman over there that I know named Sarah. And of course, I'm going to give her their information just in case anything happens, you know, to where they'll be able to call here and they'll let my sons know whatever transpires. But that's pretty much what I have planned for my life. I want to go back over to the Dharamsala, India. Even though I've lost touch with everyone there, I still want to experience the Dharamsala, India again, because I know enough about the Dharamsala, India to where I wouldn't be going over there and be totally lost and not knowing what to do and where to go. But I'm just going to end this video because I'm getting kind of sleepy right now. So everyone have a good night. And so I just wanted to go over those few things. And everyone stay human. Have a good night.